into this chapter. All right, so let's go into the chapter. So first, Parikshit Maharaj is first inspiring Sukadev Goswami to keep on talking about Krishna. So good devotee, the measure of a good devotee is they always want to hear Krishna stories. They don't get tired of it. And we can see here Sukadev Goswami, after hearing the whole of first canto, and then he's listening to the second canto, and he's saying, please continue, say more and more stories about Krishna and his devotees to Sukadev Goswami. And he says that hearing and chanting leads to remembrance. So when you hear and chant about the Lord, you're remembering the Lord. And the intention is to never forget Krishna and always remember Krishna, because he is the source of all perfection. So when he's always in our mind, we'll only do good things. So Sukadev Goswami is acting as a very wonderful student who is very inspired and enthusiastic to learn more from their teacher. So even when all of you are in class, you should show the enthusiasm to learn so that your teacher in school is inspired to teach you more and give you more knowledge. So we can learn from this wonderful student, Parikshit, to his teacher, Sukadev Goswami. So, and he feels that while he's hearing these wonderful stories, he's getting cleansed. So the biggest problem in this world is everybody's mind and consciousness is not in the right place. They are thinking about all these different things. They're thinking what their neighbor is doing. They want to kind of be better than the neighbor, or they want to be better than their friends. They're thinking of some of their enemies, what they did. So the biggest problem in the world is what we think, what we feel, and what we desire. Thinking, feeling, and willing. These three together is called consciousness. So most of the people in this world, their consciousness is material consciousness. And once you hear about Krishna, you partake in bhakti and spiritual activities, your mind is getting cleansed. So this is when you do this wonderful bhakti or devotional service, you are getting good thoughts, you're feeling good, you have good desires. So all that is what finally manifests as your actions, right? So here Sukadev Goswami is saying, hearing is really cleansing all the impurities in me. So he's feeling it firsthand while he's listening to his guru, Sukadev Goswami. Then Parikshit Maharaj says that he is so devoted to Krishna, he never wants to give up Krishna's lotus feet. He just wants to hold on to them, because what does it mean that to hold on to the feet or take the dust of the lotus feet? It is to follow the instruction of Krishna and surrender to him. That's the meaning of taken shelter of the lotus feet. You can hear all this that devotee says, he has taken shelter of Krishna. That means he is surrendered to Krishna. He wants to do only what Krishna likes him to do, not what he himself likes. He doesn't want to go to the bar. He doesn't want to smoke. He doesn't want to take drugs or any of that, or not killing animals for eating. He has made those decisions based on what Krishna wants, not what his tongue is telling him to do, or what his bad company might say, go do this, go do that. None of that is influencing him, because he has taken shelter of Krishna's lotus feet, and then he wants to do what Krishna likes. So now we come to the questions of Parikshit Maharaj. So these are the questions that Parikshit Maharaj asked, but they're not answered immediately. They are answered throughout the whole of Bhagavatam, which has 18,000 verses. But we can see how Sukadev Goswami slowly explains each part. So let's go through the questions. So So then first question is, how did the spiritual jiva attain a material body? So all of us are souls, right? We are spiritual beings in a material situation. Our body is material. It's just a machine. But Parikshit Maharaj is asking, how did we as spiritual beings come into this material body? Like if we are spiritual, how are we in a material experience? Then he asks, what is the form of Vishnu or Garbhoda Kashai Vishnu? What is the form of Shiroda Kashai and Karnoda Kashai Vishnu? So there are multiple forms of Lord Vishnu, and he's asking about those forms. So what is the form of Hiranyagarbha? Then his questions are, can you tell me about time, which is Kalpa, Vikalpa, Kala? Can you tell me about karmic reactions? So he's asking a lot of questions. So this is a sign of a good disciple who is very inquisitive to learn and asking a lot of questions. So when you are also learning, you should try to come up with genuine questions, not questions to, try to put your teacher down, or this would be genuine for your learning and understanding the topic more. You are asking questions. So such questions are very welcome by the teacher. So he's asking these wonderful questions. What is kalpa? What is karma? He's asking, how did the Lord create all these places and all these people in this universe? He's asking, what is the dimension of this universe? Like, what is the geography of this universe? And tell me about the activities of devotees. So tell me about some of the good devotees of the Lord. What can I learn from them? So he's asking about activities of devotees. So one way to learn is we ourselves make mistakes and learn from them. The other is to learn from others' mistakes and learn from what others do good, so we can follow them. So he's asking about the activities of devotees. And then he's asking about varnashrama. So how are human beings classified into different classes? And then he's asking about the different yugas and what should be done in each yuga, and what is Krishna's avatar in each yuga. So these are so many questions. So these questions are not immediately answered by Sukadeva Goswami. And in the few chapters we are covering today, it is 8, 9, and 10. The only aspect he covers is about the creation of the Lord. Okay. So the questions are continued, right? So he's asking, what is dharma? The different kinds of dharma. He's asking, what are the elements? What is worship of Purushavasaras? What is yoga Mishra Bhakti? What is the opulence, destination, and destruction of subtle body? What is the conclusion of all the Vedic scriptures? What is the deliverance from samsara for all jivas? Samsara means material world. So how can you get out of it? What is favorable and unfavorable activities for bhakti? What are the rules for Vedic and the different karmas? When is there reappearance of the jivas in this world? Do you reincarnate? What is the creation of pasandis? So there are different kinds of worship done. So he's asking about all that. Who are Nitya Siddhas? And can you tell me about the leelas of the Lord, the Yogamaya leelas? So all these questions, you can just hear them now, but these questions are not the answers he will get immediately, but those will be covered in later cantos. So And then Parikshit Maharaj says, I surrender unto you, my spiritual master, Sukadeva Goswami. Please tell me everything. He's so inquisitive. He's asking so many questions. And he's saying that you are very qualified to answer. So I just want to hear from you. And Sukadeva Goswami, for the 7 days, he decided not to eat, sleep, or take rest or anything. He only wanted to hear. So that's why Sukadeva Goswami the Parikshit Maharaj only wanted to hear. He was not going to sleep, eat, or take rest or anything, because he had only 7 days to live. So he wanted to use the whole time to hear about Krishna Katha. So that is the reason he's very inquisitive, and his guru is very, very happy with him. And that's why Parikshit Maharaj is also said to be the Acharya for Shravanam. In Bhakti, there are 9 limbs: Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, etc. Right? And Parikshit Maharaj is said to be the Acharya for hearing. So we can see why he is the best in hearing. He wanted to hear about Krishna's stories and Srimad Bhagavatam from his guru without even eating or sleeping or taking rest for 7 days continuously. So he's saying, I'm not fatigued due to hunger and thirst. I just want to hear from you. So his master is very pleased, Sukadeva Goswami, and he is speaking the Bhagavatam to him now. So that ends chapter 8, and then we go to chapter 9, where the answers are given by Sukadeva Goswami. So Sukadeva Goswami says, first he says, he starts answering his questions. So one of his questions was, how does this jiva, or we are souls, and we are divine and spiritual, right? How are we coming into a material body? Material body is just like a machine made of the 5 elements in the material world, and the body is temporary. There's a birth date and a death date or an expiry date for the body. So if we are spiritual, if we are eternal, meaning we never actually die, there is no expiry date, then how are we in this body? So that's a very fair question. Parikshit, Sukadeva Goswami says to Parikshit Maharaj, he starts to answer this question by saying that he kind of compares this to a dream. So when you are sleeping and you're seeing a dream, you think that you are in the dream, right? You like you are in a desert and it's hot sun and it is, and you start sweating while you are sleeping also, because you're seeing such a hot place. And but are you in the desert? No. So similarly, he says the soul is in this body, and because of Krishna's Maya is his external energy that makes us think that we are this body, and we identify with the body. So all the troubles that the body give, like we have a wound, or we are sick, we get COVID or anything, we feel that we are suffering because we think I'm this body, so whatever happens to this body is my problem, and I'm suffering. But so that is one way he explains it. And because of Maya, we are thinking that we are this body. But he says, if you come to bhakti, and if you start doing service for the Lord and surrender to the Lord, this misconception or misidentification that you're the body will go away. So bhakti is the energy of the Lord we can use, or the yoga system we can use to counteract this Maya Shakti of the Lord, which makes us think we are the body. So then what happened is, so Parikshit Maharaj then describes how Brahma was created. or Brahma appeared, and then how did Brahma become the creator? Now it's explained how Brahma is not the primary creator; he is only a secondary creator. So, and we'll learn about those topics now. So Brahma performed bhakti, and then he got free from all the different illusions. And so Brahma was born from the lotus, right? That came out of the navel of Mahavishnu, or of Garbhodakashai Vishnu. So let me just quickly explain how the expansions happen. So Krishna expands into the four Purusharthas, that is Vasudev, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and so after that he expands, he does many expansions, and then finally he becomes Karnodakashai Vishnu, that's or Mahavishnu. And from each pore of Mahavishnu is lying down in the causal ocean, and as from each hair or pore from his skin, one universe sprouts out, and from in that universe he expands again and goes into that universe as Garbhodakashai Vishnu. And Garbhodakashai Vishnu, when he perspires, he forms the Garbhodaka ocean on which he's floating, and from Garbhodakashai Vishnu's navel or abdominal area comes a lotus flower, and from that sprouts Brahma. So Brahma comes out and he's very confused. He doesn't know what to do. I'm just coming out of this lotus. What am I supposed to do? He thinks of everything he can, but he doesn't understand. So then he hears the word tapa, tapa, tapa. So TAPA or tapa. So that means go through austerities. So then Brahma decides, okay, let me go meditate on the Lord and do austerities and focus on the Lord. And then when he does that for 1,000 celestial years, then the Lord becomes visible to him. So he's and then the Lord shows him the whole of Vaikuntha. So Vaikuntha is a place where it's a spiritual world. So we are in the material world. It's called Kunta. Kunta means full of suffering. Vaikuntha means a place where there is no suffering. There is no disease. There is no birth, death, or old age, or any of that. So he sees that world where Lord Krishna is in the form of Narayan, and he is in this Vaikuntha planet. And Brahma is able to see all the inhabitants in Vaikuntha. They all have the 400 form of the Lord. It's called Sarupya. So they have the same body structure, but everybody wants to serve the Supreme Lord. And with awe and reverence, they are all respecting the Lord. It's very beautiful. There are lakes and flowers, and even they are complaining, oh, these flowers are so fragrant that sometimes we are disturbed by it because we focus on the fragrance of the flowers, and we can't use that time also to serve the Lord. So they're complaining about things that's something they can enjoy. So what it's showing is they really don't want to enjoy away from the Lord. What they see is if they can provide some enjoyment to the Lord by serving him, that's what gives them the greatest pleasure. So Brahma is seeing this wonderful sight of Vaikuntha. And then he starts asking, Lord Vishnu is very, very pleased with Brahma for doing the tapa for 1,000 years based on his instruction. So he's saying, okay, why don't you ask me for any benediction? So you can ask for any boon, I will give it to you, because you are my devotee, you are surrendered to me, and you were doing austerities for so long. So let me give you this boon. So then Brahma, he doesn't ask for a boon directly. He asks 4 questions to Lord Vishnu. So you see here, Sukadeva Goswami is explaining about the world creation based on this conversation between Brahma and Lord Vishnu at the time of creation. So Brahma asked the question, please tell me about your material and spiritual forms. So that's the first question. So he's asking about how are what are the different energies of the Lord? How are they working together? Then he asked the question, how the world, how the Lord carries out his pastimes in relation to his energies. That's the third question. And the fourth question is, please give me guidance. So this is the final one, is where he's asking for a boon or a benediction. So first he's asking his three questions, and then he, how can I serve you, my Lord? He's asking that, and he wants to serve without pride and bondage. So how can I serve without pride and bondage? So these are the four questions, and the answers to these four questions are called the Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam. So it is the entire 18,000 verses condensed into these four questions and answers from the Lord. That's why it's called Chatur Shloki, Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so then the Lord answers that the Lord has a spiritual form, like we talked about Vaikuntha, that has no beginning and end. So the Lord creates the material universes. We said they come out of each pore of his body. They come out, they're created, and then they're annihilated also. It happens when the Lord when the Lord breathes, right? Mahavishnu breathes. When he breathes in, he takes all the these universes inside his body, so they are not manifest anymore. They're annihilated. And then when he exhales out, all these universes come into being. So so all of this is coming from the Supreme Lord, and since he's spiritual, he doesn't have any beginning or end. So somebody might ask you, hey, you say God created man, but then who created God? So if everything needs a creator, then who created God? So if somebody asks you the question, then you can say that, God doesn't have a beginning or end. So God is the supreme creator. He's not created. He is always there. He's eternal. There's no birth date or end date. And only such a person can create us, our bodies, who have a beginning and an end, right? So you can explain to him, to these people who ask you that doubt, that God is eternal. Eternal means no beginning or no end. So and he explains about the Lord explains to Brahma about this. And then to the second question, he says there are different energies of the Lord. So this energy that has no beginning or end is the spiritual energy. And then he has as an inferior energy called material energy, or it's called the external energy of the Lord. And that's full of illusion. And we are here in his illusory energy called Maya. And that's what, creates this material world and puts all the rebellious souls who were in the spiritual world in this material world for their purification. And they start identifying themselves as the body itself, which cause all the illusion. So this, the Lord is explaining about the spiritual energy and material energy and what's the difference. Then the Lord explains about how he is both within the universe and he's external to the universe also. So actually this, so Krishna expands into his different forms, and then, Krishna, he he wants to always have good time with his devotees. It's always about pastimes. So, but to do the work of, maintaining the universe, the creation of the universe, he expands into different forms to take care of that, right? So his expansions are within the universe. We know that these Vishnu forms that's within the universe, and in our heart there is a soul as well as the spiritual, the super soul, who is Krishna in the form of the Kshirodakashayi Vishnu. So then he's explaining how he is both within the universe and external to the universe also. And all of you probably know the pastime where Mother Yashoda, she was like the Gopa boys complained that Krishna was eating dirt. And then when Mother Yashoda opened Krishna's mouth, she saw the entire universe. And then she was seeing a small earth in there, and then she was seeing how Mother Yashoda was asking Krishna. So everything is contained within the Lord. So it's inconceivable. He's both within and without. So the Lord is saying that to Brahma, and he could explain this just in these 4 verses. And Lord Brahma, having a high intellect, he's able to understand everything. And then he says that, and the final question was, how do I do proper service to you? And the Lord says, by sadhana bhakti, by doing everything to please me. You please me in the sense please Krishna, and bhakti is the best process to do any activity. So this is the summary of Srimad Bhagavatam, actually, that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and bhakti is the best process to attain the Lord. So we are just a few more slides and then we'll go to the Kahoot. So, and this knowledge that Krishna or Vishnu gave to Brahma is actually coming in disciplic succession. So Parikshit Maharaj is hearing from Sukadev Goswami, but Sukadev Goswami heard from Vyasadev. So Sukadev Goswami's father is Vyasadev. Vyasadev taught Srimad Bhagavatam to him. And then in the first canto, we saw how Narada Muni was instructing Vyasadev, right? And then now and also in the first canto, we heard about the discussion between Brahma and Narada. So how Brahma was instructing Narada. Narada was initially asking, "Oh, Brahma, you are the supreme creator." Then Brahma said, "No, I'm just a secondary creator. The supreme creator is, of course, Krishna." And then we now saw how Krishna or Vishnu is imparting this knowledge to Brahma. So this is the disciplic succession. And even in our ISKCON Parampara, you can trace Srila Prabhupada all the way back to Krishna, because it's coming from a bona fide spiritual disciplic succession. So that's where you have to learn knowledge from, where it is coming from the right source. If you go just ask some Tom, Dick, and Harry to describe God, they will give you what they think, but that's not the truth. But when it's coming all the way from Krishna describing about himself, then we know that's the right, that is the truth. So Srimad Bhagavatam is such a book which has all the information about creation and about everything you need to do. And the summary is Krishna is the Supreme Lord and bhakti is the best process. So this is what is exemplified in chapter 10. It talks about how Bhagavatam is the answer to all your questions. And we discussed the 10 topics of Bhagavatam, right, earlier at the introduction. So that's explained, that verse is part of this 10th chapter of 2nd canto, and describing what the topic is in each canto and what part of the body limb of the Lord is represented by that canto or section. So quickly going through this, the first and second canto is the lotus feet of the Lord, and it gives the introduction to Srimad Bhagavatam. And what we have just learned is about Sarga, Visarga. So Sarga, Visarga is the topic of creation and secondary creation and primary creation. And then the main topic of the third and fourth canto is Sarga, Visarga. They explained even more. And then we see about Lord Varahadev, and that's actually compared to the thighs of the Lord. So we're going to start from the next class, the third canto. So we have finished the lotus feet part of the Lord description in this Srimad Bhagavatam. So all of you are doing great, learning about Srimad Bhagavatam, which is Puranam Amalam. There's no impurities, only the best information is present in Srimad Bhagavatam. So as you can see here, each canto has represents each part of the Lord, and the 10th canto represents his lotus face. And it's also, the topic is Ashraya, where you fully surrender. So see here, his spiritual master is going step by step. So he doesn't go directly to the best aspect of, Krishna's wonderful pastimes in Vrindavan. He's slowly preparing his disciple to hear about the Lord's pastimes. Okay. So these last two slides. So about Sarga. So this is a little technical, but you can just hear it. So there are three forms of Vishnu we mentioned. So first there's Karnodakashaya Vishnu, Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, and Shirodakashaya Vishnu. So we are talking about the Garbhodakashaya Vishnu, where within each universe there is one Vishnu form and Brahma, right? So so once he enters into each universe, he lies down for thousands of years, and then the creation of the ingredients happens. So this is what is explaining what is Sarga and what is Visarga. So on the right is Visarga. We're going to talk about what Brahma creates, and then Sarga is all the ingredients for creation. So for creation, you need like the sound, light, earth, water, ether means space. So all these are required, right, for within a universe, and for all of us, our bodies to exist. So all those ingredients, all those elements are created by the Supreme Lord, and then it's even the procedure and the sequence of creation is mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam. So based on the desire of the Lord, he creates these elements, and then it's called Adi Bhautika, and then he creates the subtle elements, that's mind, intelligence, ego, that's Adi Atmika, and then he creates the devatas who is going to take care of each of these different aspects, that's Adi Devika. Then also then he creates the sense of seeing, hearing, touching, all that is created. That's called Adi Bhautika again. So all this the Lord creates initially before giving the baton over to Brahma to create. So that's why the Lord is called the primary creator. And so once Brahma got all these instructions, he then creates the different planets, and then he takes each jiva and gives them each body, right? So the cows, the dogs, cats, they all have bodies, but they all have the soul also in them. So each soul is given a body based on their karma. So based on their activities. So some people, they say, oh, I want to be in the ocean all the time. I want to swim, surf, do all that. So then the Lord gives them a a body of a fish, right? So similarly, Brahma decides what body each soul should get, and then the three modes, the sattva, rajas, guna, sattva gun, rajogun, tamogun, all these are formed, and all these souls, they're trapped in these bodies, and they are acting according to these three modes of material nature. So for the folks who don't come to Krishna consciousness, or who are not becoming devotees, they are just being puppets at the hands of these different energies of the Lord. And then the Lord takes the form of, Vishnu to maintain, and then to destroy. Lord Shiva takes care of the destruction, so this is the Visarga part. So that concludes our second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. So any questions before? Okay, there's one more point here. The sarga is the creation of the ingredients, right? The elements, all that we discussed now, that happens at the beginning of Brahma's life. So when Brahma is created, the Lord creates all this, and then Brahma is able to use that. And Brahma creates all these planets and the bodies where each soul will get into. That is created at the beginning of Brahma's day. It's called a kalpa. So at the beginning of Brahma's day, he creates. His day is very, very large compared to our calculation. Trillions of years. Yeah, there are 1,000 Chatur Yugas in one day of his. At the end of that one day, then there's partial dissolution, and then he creates everything again. So this point to be noted is Visarga, or Brahma's creation, happens at the beginning of his day. Every morning he wakes up and he creates, and then the Sarga happens at the beginning of Brahma's life. So at the when the universe itself is formed, the Lord creates all these ingredients. So just keep that in mind, and then we'll go into the Kahoot. So if everybody ready? Any questions?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay, very good. So I know Ishani is new to class. So Ishani ji, if you can have another device, I know you probably played Kahoot a lot. So I'm just explaining in case you forgot. You just have to enter this pin 495491.
Okay.
Let me check. Ayana is missing. Okay. There's Nitin ji, Santosh ji, Ashmita ji, Radha Chaitra ji, welcome. So Tarun ji, are you joining? Anybody needs more time?
Yes, Prabhuji, please wait for me. Just
I'm going to wait for you.
Yes, Prabhuji, me, Tarun.
Yes, Tarun ji. Please wait. I'm going to wait for you. Your voice was kind of breaking a bit, so maybe a poor internet connection.
Who is recommended, Prabhuji?
Yes. Ishani ji, are you able to join?
I'm entering.
Yes, all you have to do is either scan this, what you see on the screen, with your phone, You still need the screen to see the questions. Okay, Ishani ji is in and Hare Krishna is in.
Just adding my name, Prabhuji.
Okay. So in a minute we'll start. Sorry we went a little over. There are 17 questions. We should be finishing in 5 to 10 minutes. So thank you for your patience in staying a little longer. Okay, Hemanji has also joined. Hari Bol. So all of you should be very happy that you covered the topics of Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes, TKD has joined. Hari Bol. Now we can start.
Just a minute, just going in.
Oh, sorry, I hit the button when I saw TKD. Okay. Okay, who inspires Sukadev Goswami to speak more Harikatha? Arjun, Parikshit Maharaj, Shaunaka Rishi, Prahlad Maharaj. So we discussed at the beginning of the class who was inspiring his teacher to speak more and more Harikatha. Parikshit, very good. Okay, one person has answered Shaunaka Rishi. That's yes. So it is actually there's a conversation within a conversation, right? So in first canto we discussed about Suta Goswami and the sages of Naimisharanya, of which Shaunaka Rishi is the leader, asking question to Suta Goswami, and Suta Goswami is explaining about Parikshit Maharaj and Sukdev Goswami. So I understand why you went with Shaunaka Rishi, but here the answer for Sukadeva Goswami is always Parikshit. Very good. Okay, Santosh ji is in first place. Then comes Hare Krishna, then Nitin ji, then Radha Chaitra ji and Ashmita ji. Oh, good to see you, Ashmita ji and Radha Chaitra ji. Okay, what is the word that Brahma heard when he was confused and didn't know how to perform his duty of creation? So what did he hear? Kirtana, Swadhyaya, Shravana, or Tapa? What is the word he heard? Yes, Tapa, 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 he heard. And then he went into a meditation. All right, Ishani ji is on the board. Very good. So how many celestial years did Brahma undergo austerities or tapa when he heard that? So how many years did he do that? 1 year, 1,000 years, 100 years, 10 years? "1,000 years is the right answer. Very good. Okay. Nitinji is now in second place. The two brothers are in first and second place. Then Hare Krishna, Radha Chaitra ji and Ishani ji. Very good. Okay, what is the analogy that Sukadeva Goswami used to answer Parikshit Maharaj's question about relationship of jiva and body? Body is like the brain and soul is the heart. Body is a plane and soul is the passenger. Soul is a dream, thinking body is the reality. Soul is the soul and body is the shoe. Yes, so he used the analogy of a dream. So all of us are thinking that we are the body is like we are in a dream. Hari Bol. So Ashmita ji is now raised up into fourth place. Very good. And now let's go to the next question. What's the Lord's energy that makes us think that we are his body and not the jiva? Haladini, Sandini, Maya, Samvit. Yes, his Maya or illusory energy is what makes us think that we are this body and not the soul. And he does it because he uses his Maya energy, because we wanted to, enjoy away from him. So he's giving the facility to do that, giving us a body and making us think that we are this body, and we are doing everything in relationship to this body. But sooner or later, we'll understand that the body is full of suffering, with old age, disease, and we should identify ourselves as a soul. Okay, what is the process by which one can be free of the misidentification that one is the body? Bhakti, experiments, speculation, debate. Yes. So everybody's in an identity crisis. Something I'm an Indian, something I'm a white. Some people think I'm a uh, uh, I'm a Brahmin, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. All these identifications are not right. The best identification is I am the soul. I'm a spiritual soul. That identification you can get when you go into bhakti. And when you do that, you can see everything, all living entities as souls, and you think of all of them in the same family, Vasudeva Kudumpakam. Not like, oh, you are Indian, I'm American, I'm going to fight with you. I'm Ukrainian, I'm Russian, so we are going to fight with each other. That doesn't happen if they had bhakti in them, right? So bhakti is a solution to all the problems in this world. Okay, very good. Santosh ji is in first place, Nitin ji, Hare Krishna, Ashmita ji, and Radha Chaitra ji. Okay, seventh question. What's the difference between God's body and human body? No difference. Internal energy and external energy. Magic and magic stick. Presence and absence of senses. Yes, internal energy is the spiritual energy of the Lord, which has no beginning and end. And the Lord's body is spiritual. He doesn't have to go through birth, death, old age, disease. But our body is from the external energy, which has a beginning and an end. Very good. How to perform services without pride and bondage. This is based on the fourth question of Brahma. So he was asking, how can he do that? And the Lord explains back, is it yajna, jnana, bhakti, or ashtanga yoga? Yes, bhakti is the best way to perform an action without being proud of it and without being bound. Because if you do good karma, you might go to higher planets. If you do bad things, crime, you might go to hellish planets. But if you do bhakti, you'll go back to Vaikuntha. What is the parampara of Chatur Shloki Bhagavatam? Krishna, Narada, Parikshit, Brahma, Vyasa, Sukadev. Krishna, Brahma, Narada, Vyasa, Sukadev, and Parikshit. Yes. So from Krishna, Brahma got instructions. We discussed that today. Brahma and Narada had discussion. We learned in first canto. Narada and Vyasa had a discussion. We heard in first canto. And then Vyasa, Sukadeva Goswami. We also learned that Sukadeva Goswami son is the son of Vyas and how he learned from him. And then we have been discussing Sukadeva and Parikshit Maharaj conversation. So this blue one is the right order. Very good. 10th question. What topics are covered in the first and second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, and what part of the Lord do they represent? Creation and thighs, geography and navel, surrender and face, introduction and lotus feet. Yes. The first and second canto that we finished today, are the lotus feet of the Lord. And they discuss about the introduction of the topics. Okay, Santoshi has got 10 out of 10. Very good. By whose perspiration does Garbhodaka ocean get formed? Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu, Virat Rupa, Karnodaka Shai Vishnu, Shirodaka Shai Vishnu. So, yeah, the question, the answer was in the question itself. Garbhodaka ocean, Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu. Okay. What are the three features by which the Lord creates Virat Rupa? Adi Bhautika, Adi Atmika, and Dash. Adi Purusha, Adi Gopura, Adi Guru, Adi Daivika. Yes, it's Adi Devika. So Adi Atmika is means that comes from you. Adi Bhautika is that comes from other living entities, and Adi Devika is that comes from the Devatas. So many things can be explained with these three. There are hardships that you create yourself. That's called Adi Atmika Kleshas. Like you shoot yourself in the foot and you're suffering. That is Adi Atmika. When a mosquito comes and bites you, it's Adi Bhautika, like another soul is creating you problems. So that's Adi Bhautika. And Adi Daivika is when there's a flood that's happened. So the rain god or Indra is pouring too much rain, and that's a klesha that comes from there. So it's not only suffering, many things can be explained with this Adi Bhautika, Adi Atmika, and Adi Devika, these relationships. Okay, very good. Santoshi is on fire. Very good. If the Lord does the primary creation, Sarga, who performs the secondary creation, Visarga? Vishnu, Shiva, Brahma, Ayyappa. So this topic we covered. Yeah, so Sarga is the person who creates all the ingredients, and then Visarga is Brahma getting instruction from the Lord to do the secondary creation. Very good. Okay, Ashmita ji has come to 4th place now. 14th question. By what measure does Brahma allocate the body of a specific species to the jiva? So what decides that a soul gets a particular body? Is it jnana, memory, karma, or buddhi? Yes, it's based on each person's karma, they get a particular body. So we are all fortunate to get this human body, so we can use our intelligence to learn about the Lord. Okay, devotees see Brahma as supreme creator. True or false? False. Very good. So usually in Hinduism, you just hear, oh, Brahma is the creator, Vishnu is the maintainer, Shiva is the destroyer. But the actual, we understand from Srimad Bhagavatam that Brahma is only partakes in Visarga or secondary creation. The supreme creator is Krishna. Okay. Second last question. When does Sarga happen? Every Manvantara, every Yuga, beginning of Brahma's day, beginning of Brahma's life. So when does the Lord create the ingredients? It's the beginning of Brahma's life, just before Brahma gets his body from the lotus. That's Sarga. Okay, when does Visarga happen? Beginning of Brahma's day or Kalpa, every Chatur Yuga, every Manvantara, every Yuga. Yes, we discussed this, that Brahma wakes up every day. It's called a kalpa, and he starts creation. So it's the beginning. Visarga happens at the beginning of Brahma's day. Sarga happens at the beginning, only at the beginning of his life. Okay, third place goes to Hare Krishna. I think that's Ayana. Second place goes to Nitinji. And first place goes to Santoshji. So the brothers got first and second place. Fourth place goes to Radha Chaitraji. Fifth place goes to Ishani. Hari Bol. Very nice, Ishani ji. First class, and you were on the board. Congratulations. And so happy
Hare
to have all of
Krishna.
you every week. So we'll meet again next Sunday. Any feedback, anything I can correct myself? If I said anything wrong, please forgive me.
Hari Bol Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol Prabhuji.
Panchakalpata rupascha kripa sindhupyeva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji.